Hi, Jamal. Hi, it's Oyen. Just looking at your question here um, on this question about costs and profitability and managing multiple products. So it's an interesting question. It's actually quite a full question. You've tackled one section of it, but there's a lot here to sort of look at. Um, Let me see if I can. Let me write. Yes, I think it will. So the first thing, I think what you want to do, I mean, this is good. This is a section of what you've said here, but there are a number of issues here. This question of it's almost an open question. There's costs, there's profitability, and then there's multiple products. So, and what you've said is good. I think you want to extend it a little. Um, and you've highlighted in a particular case of limiting factors. So let's just talk about this idea of multiple products. I think first of all, I think you do mention it. The factors that I think they really want you to kind of go into this area of responsibility. So it's almost like saying, make sure that each product has its own sort of cost center, because really product A, product B, product C, product D, whatever. So it's almost like taking things into their own different cost centers, so we know who's responsible for each area, for each product. Because what we're sort of assuming here is that what we're assuming to a certain extent is that sorry, let me just. We're assuming a number of things. We're assuming that again, when I say this idea of cost centers, the idea here is that if we want to manage costs efficiently, because it's everything about costing, it's such an open question. It's literally everything about costing. It's sort of saying, let me just go to a new page. It's sort of saying that if we want to manage costs efficiently, well, we need to break up costs into their relevant cost centers. So what does that mean? Then it's the expansion here is that now we know what the drivers or what's causing each of these costs in these individual products. Because the products are different and we now know what the related costs are, we can control them better and we can monitor them. So it's general costing question on being able to control or isolate products in their individual areas and then manage those costs in those areas, right? And then if we can manage those costs in those areas, we can, again, like I say, we can then look at variance analysis. We can focus and see why those costs are different to what we. So you're right where you talk about the job cards or the cost cards, and that's good. That's fine. But what we want to say is that now, because we now know what's going on in the individual areas, we can then. So it's really the growth of the definition of costing. We can then budget appropriately for each of these. We can observe what demand and supply is. We basically can carry out variance analysis from a point of view of sales variances to all the cost variances, material variances, labor variances for each of these products, and therefore we're much more efficient. Then the key point becomes that we can clearly allocate. We're better at allocating these costs, the overheads, because there will always be overheads, and you talk about that, this question of fixed costs. So the question is, how do we then best allocate these overheads, if you like, to these different products? So like rent and light and heat, and it might be to do with area. At least if we know what the different products are in different areas and we have people responsible for them, then we can manage them. Then of course there's the issue of motivation, if you like, and we can have people specializing in these areas. I think there's a number of things that you can go for in terms of just costing. I haven't even really talked about profitability, but the key point here is on costing. It literally wants you to talk about everything I just said. But again, separating them, knowing what the actual individual costs are. Yes, we have the cost cards. Then we can carry out variance analysis on an individual basis. Then we can motivate. Then we can set targets, if you like. And then we can know what we can do in terms of marginal costing. Maybe we could, I don't know, reduce the price of one product, and we at least we know what the margins are. We know which products are being profitable, right? So it's really important to keep them separate. So talking about profitability now, because we're very clear about what's happening in each department. If you're selling here for £10 and we know what the actual relevant costs are for this particular product, we know if it's profitable or not. So that's kind of the issue there. And then we can invest some marketing into it, whatever. I think that's where they're going. It's kind of an open question, but I think it's to kind of get you thinking about everything that we've already talked about with costing and apply that. And so on top of everything you've said, add everything I've said. Cool? I hope that helps. Cheers, Oyen.